Welcome to my latest experiment. This is a big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet.
I feel like everyone opposes me. No friends, just liquor, sex, and loads of weed. Baby, make that bum shake like it's supposed to be. Noticed me. I'm on the road to be. I'm Harley Neville. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast.
And I'm Guy Pigden. And who was that?
That was Kid Bookie, but I meant to say notice me, I'm on the road to be, and I said noticed me, I'm on the road to be. But hey, it's a live show. This is what we do here. Fucking rookies. So that's Kid Bookie. Fucking rookies.
Kid Bookie.
Kid Bookie. That's who that is.
So, we've been away for a while. We're back, and
we for Operation 2. We had a delay here. We had to take a wee break while you convalesced.
Yes, we're back just in time for another COVID update.
My favourite way to start the show.
And I should mention, I originally saw a message on Facebook from Sifty150 listener Liam Hegarty. And it was a few days ago now. And in fact, I'm going to see if I can bring it up and see if we can maybe read a little bit of it. Because he said some poignant things which, in hindsight being 2020, have a lot more gravitas right now. But we should sort of update everyone, I suppose, that COVID has reared its ugly head back in New Zealand. We have 5 new confirmed cases now, I believe. And you go, cool, well, who cares? 4 cases, 5 cases, however many cases. What does it matter, the cases? Well, the scary part is they're all community transmission cases, which essentially means that COVID is out and about there. There's no
connection.
Traveling.
There's no connection to some grubby American or something that's come through the border, or some returning smelly expat Kiwi, some non-tax-paying expat Kiwi who's come back and then skulked out of the quarantine and to go away and have sex with a prostitute for an hour, and then sneak back into quarantine. Little does he know or she know, giving it to a super spreader.
And that's the thing is like, that's what's the scary part is wait, so we're, because there's the thing, everyone would be breathing easy right now as if they'd be like, oh yes, well I came into contact with this person from overseas, or I just came back from overseas myself, or my friend works down at the airport and then he kissed me and I kissed him and now we've all got it, right? Like, all of that stuff would make perfect sense, and everyone go, yeah, okay, sweet as, it's traced, it's all good. But the idea is essentially this family, this cluster of people, just popped out of nowhere, out of the total blue, with this, with no connection to anything or anyone, and it's like, yes, we've all got COVID. And it's like, holy shit, how far has this thing gone? Because we already know that it has gone, it's not just this family, because there's now been another confirmed case who was, I think, diagnosed earlier today from some swabbing out in the same area. And it's like, shit just got real again. And so
Yeah,
well, our government has put us into level 3 lockdown, which is one stage away from Harley losing his mind and going insane, if you'll recall the level 4 lockdown. So that's the level that you go insane and lose your mind and maybe hang yourself with your belt hooked to the doorknob of your door. But we're not at that level just yet.
I do that a bit anyway, but just for fun.
For kicks.
Usually.
But not
the auto asphyxiation.
But not to kill yourself normally.
No, I normally like to pull back just before
cresting the wave.
I don't want to Robin Williams it, you know.
Someone said, "Don't kink shame him." I'm not kink shaming him. Whatever he's into is fine. Auto asphyxiation, autoerotic asphyxiation is fine, but just
autofellatio.
But what I'm worried about is just the idea that we're 1 degree away from you actually killing yourself. We're 1 lockdown level away from you actually committing suicide.
Well, it was pretty tough last time. I'm gonna level with you. It was pretty tough. Just my bubble was too small. I'm just too lonely. Yep. I can't do it again. I can't do another 2.5 months. 3 days. We're currently on a 3-day lockdown. 3 days is okay. 3 days I can handle.
Yes.
3 months. 3 months. I'm gonna need someone in my bubble.
Yeah. Well, so the government have basically said, let's reassess on the weekend. See who else pops up. See what we can uncover when we do some detective work about these people. But another disturbing rumor is that one of the people that does have it works in a place with 350 other people, like a factory with 350 other people. And you do the math.
Well, yeah, it's definitely concerning, particularly because I recently started working at a bar. Post-lockdown, I started working at a bar. Not too often, just like a day or two a week here and there. And it was really good for me. It got me out, got me meeting people, talking to people, got my back feeling a lot better because it sort of got me out there and getting physical and moving things around. So all in all, a great decision to work in that bar. But I do pick up glasses from, hundreds of people and deal with glasses, which they're putting up to their faces, and they've got their tissues, they're they're eating, I'm picking up like cutlery sometimes. All this stuff is going literally in their mouths. And then here I am walking around and I've got like 8 glasses, and I'm picking things up and I'm putting them down and cleaning them and all, and they're all, touching me all over really. So if any of these people decided that they like to drink beer, well, I might be fucked.
Well, I'm glad that we've brought the crisis of a nation back to yourself, Harley.
Yeah. Well, this is the Guy and Harley podcast, all right, mate? It's not the Guy in New Zealand podcast, all right? This is about us.
Yes, well, Liam Hegarty wrote, and I'll just read a little excerpt here. Long rant, bear with me. There are a lot of people worse off than me. Local businesses struggling to survive. People without access to any benefits who have lost their job, essential workers, those with kids, those who have lost loved ones or died alone having contracted the virus. I acknowledge that and realize I am lucky in many ways. Everyone has their own problems. This is the impact of the coronavirus related shit that it's had on me. I have barely seen more than 2 people since March, and despite the month of relative freedom, barely gone anywhere outside of my suburb in that time. I missed my sister's wedding, grandma's funeral, and have very little chance of being able to travel home to see my family this year, as I can't afford quarantine fees. We can't go outside without a mask. We can't go outside after 8 p.m. Most places are now shut, and the numbers are out of control. I've been working from home since March in an absolutely soul-sucking job I hate, with no more than a couple of days off here and there. Am I lucky to have a job? I don't know. Maybe. It pays about the same as a job keeper or unemployment would. And to be honest, I would have rather have a break for my own sanity at this point. But I can't receive benefits in this country. He's in Melbourne in another badly affected COVID lockdown situation. So I can't...
Australia's hotspot.
He's in the hotspot.
Yeah, he's taking they're taking the full 6-week lockdown. So he's taking the full 6. He's in the hole. He's in the hole again. He's in the hole, taking the full 6.
But he
over in Melbourne.
But he sort of, and I'll just skip a little bit, but So what is the point of this rant? New Zealand friends, if I see one more complaint about how one person escaped from hotel quarantine or there might be one case of corona in New Zealand, go fuck yourself. Check your corona privilege. The rest of the world is dealing with some real shit right now.
So that's where he lost me. Because I was like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. You know, it's interesting to see what's going on with him and how it's affected him and all that stuff. But then he lost me when he attacked New Zealand after we did everything we were meant to. It's not our fucking fault the Australians couldn't do it. It's not our fucking fault the Americans couldn't do it. It's not our fucking fault the British couldn't fucking do it. But if you're going to come over here, and you're going to skip quarantine, you can go fuck yourself. You didn't have to do it, so you can go fuck yourself if you're skipping quarantine.
He didn't say anything about skipping quarantine, though.
Yes, he did. He said escaping
he said
isolation.
One person.
That's his point. He's saying if one person escapes isolation, and he's bitching about us bitching about people escaping isolation. Fuck no. They weren't there. They were not there. This person escaping isolation was not there for this. If they escape isolation and I catch him, I'm literally going to set them on fire. I'm going to set the motherfuckers on fire. I'm not going into lockdown again. For these lazy prostitute fucking cunts skipping out and having sex with prostitutes. It's not on. It's these super spreaders.
I, on the other hand, didn't really take it that way. I take it as in we are corona privileged over here, or at least we were until yesterday. You know, we do have it good. We do have it better than everyone else in the world. And everyone else in the world is having to deal with a worse situation than we are. Yes, we did all the right things to avoid getting into their situations, but it doesn't change the fact that we've got some corona privilege going on. Now,
no, we have hard work privilege.
Well, not really.
We worked hard to do this. I did 3 months in the hole, Liam. 3 months in the hole. I took the full 3.
But, you know, lots of other countries have done more months than that in the hole, and they're not any closer to having the levels of freedom.
I know, because they fucked up, so they have nothing to protect. Well, we have something precious.
Well,
to
no,
protect.
but that's the thing is, like, some of them are fucked up relative to the concept of no one knew what corona was at the time. They did put in place measures at the right time, but it didn't matter. And it also didn't matter because they're not an island in the middle of nowhere like we are. So we do have some definite advantages and things going our way to benefit and put us in this corona privileged place. But there's egg on our face now, Liam, because now we're in lockdown, or at least us in Auckland are in lockdown, and by the sounds of things, we are maybe not going to be getting out. Like, they were like, we'll assess in 3 days, and it's like, how many 3-day assessments just be 3 days, really?
Well, I mean, it's obvious.
Not especially in this coronavirus thing that we're in. Also, Harley, your microphone sounds terrible. Are you sure that you got it turned on?
Let me just double check that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Let me just. It says that it's on. Yep. Says that it's on.
Okay.
Seems that everything is in order here. The USB codec is working.
All right. Okay.
As far as I'm aware.
Just a bit distorted, but it's not peaking. It's just distorted.
Whoa.
Just tap microphone again. Okay. Now it's on.
What does that do? Yeah?
Yeah.
You sure that's not just the sound of my voice?
Well,
I do have quite a distorted sounding voice, and I am screaming about setting people on fire.
It is abrasive. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think it's your voice.
It's a grating, abrasive voice.
But yes, so yeah, our corona privileges may be about to be rescinded, thanks to Jacinda.
Well, it's not really thanks to Jacinda.
Well,
it's thanks to these people skipping bloody isolation.
Well, that's the
because you know what happened, right? Here's what happened. Here's obviously what happened. One of these people came in, one of these isolation skippers, and quarantine skippers, and they went out and they went to the supermarket. We know that one of these motherfuckers went to the supermarket, and all it takes is for that person to give it to one person that we don't know about, who then and remember, this was probably 2 weeks ago. The guy that skipped out. And I remember saying, well, I guess we'll find out what happens in a few weeks. And now it's a few weeks later, and here we are. And this 3 day thing, by the way, is definitely it's a tactic for controlling the masses. That's what this is.
Yes.
This is a tactic for controlling the masses, because they know that this has a 2-week gestation period.
Yeah.
So a 3-day lockdown is for nothing. A 3-day lockdown and level 3 is to mentally prepare us ignorant masses for what's coming. On Friday, which is level 4 for 4 weeks, because it might not be, but basically I reckon that they will be testing people frantically over these last few days, and if they find enough, they'll be like, cool, well, back into lockdown you go.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be the country. Unfortunately, it's going to be Auckland, where we live.
Well, you say that, but last night, all the rats, like rats leaving a sinking ship, all scurried out of Auckland. The highways were jam-packed. So, everybody's scurrying out of Auckland. And, I mean, all of New Zealand's equally fucked, I think. We're such a small country, and if the biggest city has it, and then the biggest city spreads out all around the country. I mean, I'm hoping to go to the South Island in a few weeks.
Have we announced that on the podcast yet?
Maybe not in depth, and maybe not officially. We announced that it was a plan, but we'll get to that. But these bloody New Zealand's equally fucked. The rest of New Zealand is equally fucked, I think, long term. The rest of New Zealand, just FYI, listeners, is on level 2.
Yeah,
level 2,
which is really pretty chill. I mean, we were on level 2 for a long time, and I was going to classes and teaching students and doing all those. Level 2 is pretty relaxed, but when we get up to level 3, the cafes aren't open, man. The cafes. Won't somebody please think of the cafes? And for me as a hipster, a rich white privileged, corona privileged hipster, all of this is very inconvenient. Very inconvenient.
Yeah.
And none more so inconvenient than for the premiere of our film.
Well, that is definitely my biggest concern at the moment, is that this it's been 6.5 years in the making. We finally get a release date for our second feature film, Older. And we organize this cinema screening. We pay for a cinema ourselves so far, and we pay for a cinema, and we've been advertising it, we've been selling tickets, it's all go, where the film is coming out this month. We know it's coming out this month, it's still coming out this month online, but we've been organizing this screening. It's been taking up a lot of mental energy.
We've been inviting a lot of people,
and now here we go, we've got 13 what do we got 11 days 11 days until the premiere was meant to be. And like I say, this whole 3-day thing, I don't see it lasting. I see us being on a 2-week lockdown at least. And so if that's the case, we're going to have to refund everybody's tickets. Fortunately, I put no refunds on the thing, so we're just going to keep that money. We're just going to keep it all. I didn't put no refunds, but I didn't put a refund policy.
Yes.
It was like, what kind of refund policy would you like to offer? No refund policy? And I was like, yeah, we'll just do that. And then that way people can message me if they want their money back, But obviously we will give people back their money.
Of course we will.
Of course. We're not that bad.
Yeah, and we'd been madly, frantically printing T-shirts and posters and things to sell at the premiere, and to sort of use as our launch pad, thousands of dollars, and now it's all like, hey, put a little pause on your hopes and dreams. Or, well, it's one of those things. It's just one thing after another.
It is.
You would almost...
It's never-ending nonsense with this 2020 business, isn't it?
But, first it was the censorship of the film, and we had to make a censored version of the film. And now it's like, hey, now don't even, release your film for all those people over that 6.5 years that helped you. They get nothing to show for it. They're all sitting in their lounge, and they just go, oh, cool. Cool.
I guess it's out now. Now, well, what we can do is we can do an online premiere still, and what that would mean is that people still get it on the same day, the 23rd, and they can watch it online, and we can give them a discount code so that our cast and crew can still watch it then, on that day. if we want that, or we tell them to pay for it.
But that's the thing. It's like if it's not censorship, it's a global pandemic. Will this film never come out?
Well, it
will come out on August 23rd.
To very little fanfare.
It'll come out a damp squib.
Now, Lexi Graves just subscribed to us on Twitch, so shout out to Lexi Graves. Lexi Graves is a streamer as well on Twitch. She's awesome. You guys should go check her out. Lexi Graves 13, I believe it is, and Lexi Graves 13. Although I am a little bit disappointed to realize that she's been tuning into the show for this long, because she comments regularly. Only just subscribed. We only just earned a subscription from her now. So, but anyway, shout out to Lexi Graves. Thanks for that. Our film, COVID. It's all going horribly wrong.
Yes, it is. And I will also, I just want this kind of sidebars us into a bit of some pet peeves. What grinds my gears, right? So you know, we trying to release our film. And what we're finding is even trying to spend the least amount of money possible, it's still fucking ridiculously expensive to release a film, to buy little bits and pieces for it, to the promotional items, cinema hire. Now, cinema hire is really getting my goat at the moment, Harley, because I saw a little advertisement yesterday, and I had a little conversation. So I went to get a DCP test of our film, Older, for the premiere that was coming out.
What's a DCP?
A DCP is a digital cinema package, which is basically what the it's the components that make up the thing that is played by the digital projector in the cinema. And it is a specific set of things that have to be created, assets that have to be created, which is different to all the other formats. Now, so you have to kind of go and see that it works and go, yep, cool, the sound is normal, everything's normal. And so I went to do that, and I was chatting with the person there, the projectionist, and I was sort of like, so, you know, how's it going for you guys? You know, what's going on? You know? And he was like, well, you know, I saw the numbers, you know, from last month, and we've only just reopened, but I saw the numbers for the period of time that we've been open, and I just cried. It was so bad. It was absolutely terrible. It was abysmal. You know, the amount of people coming to the cinema and all that sort of thing, which is now, he said, traditionally our busiest time. He also said, however, what was even more disturbing about that fact was the fact that they were doing the best in New Zealand. That cinema chain was doing the best in New Zealand, and they were doing abysmally. Now, how does this all segue into cinema hire, I hear you ask? Well, the problem with cinema hire is that it is ridiculously, unfairly, grossly, offensively expensive for an independent to hire a cinema just for a one-off screening. Despite the fact that if it's, you know, gets a reasonable turnout, then it will generate a lot of income for the said cinema in terms of sales of drinks and food, etc., which is in fact the way they make most of their money. So this was kind of cheesing me off, right? This whole concept that, hey, we've got to pay this much money, and it's like, really? You got something fucking better on right now than our fucking premiere? Or have you got a rerun of the Titanic? Because if you got a rerun of the Titanic that 3 people are going to, then you're much better off to have, you know, maybe 100 people come to a cinema and buy a bunch of drinks and alcohol and all that sort of thing. You'll make a lot more money that way. But yet you seem to be charging us as if you won't. You seem to be charging us as if you are pillaging and, you know, well, I'm not going to say anything. But anyway, so I was like, cool, man, this is bullshit. This is a rip-off. And then we sort of ask around, and it's like, well, that's kind of the standard. But this is my issue, is that, yes, it was the standard. In a pre-pandemic world where the theatres were already dying, it was the standard. It was the standard by which they were slowly dying. Now, we need to reimagine, we need to evolve, we need to change. And what would be the best way now for cinemas to maybe encourage more people to come would be perhaps to not be charging those pre-COVID rates to young independent filmmakers, young-ish independent filmmakers, not young at all independent filmmakers that are bringing out their latest film. It would be to encourage them to do that so they have more content and help grow the industry and grow these filmmakers and blah, blah, fucking blah. And I was like, but that's just not happening. And that really pissed me off. But then I saw a little ad, right? I got a little ad. I got a little memo, I got a little email come through from one of these giant event cinema chains. And it said,
which one?
Well, it doesn't really matter. We could say it was from Event Cinemas. It was from Event Cinemas.
Well, you just said it was, so yeah.
But so I got this email come through, and it was like, hey, man, ever imagined having the whole cinema to yourself? And I was like, yeah, I fucking have. I'm hiring a cinema, actually. So, yeah, I've definitely imagined that for all the films that I want to put out. And they're like, cool, you and a group of 10 friends can have a cinema for 2 hours, longer than what we asked for $250. And you can play video games on the big screen with 10 of your mates for $250. It's a new initiative we're running. Now, that says...
Well, we should just do that.
So that says to me that's a lot more like the amount they should be charging for these fucking cinemas. Not for me to play fucking video games with 10 of my mates, but to invite 100 of my film professional friends, the movers and the shakers of the industry, cast and crew, star-studded galore, to all come down and spend significantly more than those 10 fucking friends would, pimping out the cinema. But no, you want someone to bring their Xbox round with 10 friends and pay you $250. Well, I'm sure that you could probably do that same fucking thing for indie films then, couldn't you? Talk about the last gasps of a dying industry. So that just got me fired up because it's like, cool, you're really in trouble if you're doing this deal. You're really in trouble if you're this desperate that you're saying, bring your mates down and play Xbox in our cinemas. That's how empty our fucking cinemas are. And don't get me wrong, as a new initiative, fine, good, I'm all for it. But then, like, let's adjust the parameters of how you're fucking defrauding your independent filmmakers who also go, hey, could we have a cinema for 2 hours? They go, yeah, sure. I fucking 4 times that, please. Well, what's the difference? Oh, nothing.
Well,
you're filmmakers.
We haven't asked it. We haven't asked them though. We didn't talk to Event about it because we didn't know about that deal. That was an unknown deal at the time.
It was an unknown deal. Well, look,
we should do that now because what's going to happen is COVID's going to probably end up with our cancelling our premiere or postponing our premiere, probably because of COVID. And when that happens, we'll just have to go, oh, well, give us a refund, thanks, because now we don't need you guys anymore. They give us a refund, and then we go to the other place, get $250 for 2 hours, and we'll bring 100 mates, or 150, or 192 mates. It depends, though. Here's the thing. Here's what you're not really factoring in. There's a couple of things you're not
time of day.
But the main one would be, well, time of day is probably one, but I was going to say cinema size. They're not renting out 192-seat cinema to 10 people. They're giving their smallest cinema. And the smaller cinemas that we looked at were more like half the price of what we actually paid. But for us to get that 192-seater, that's the big one.
Well, I will say that this deal is on at multiple event cinemas, and a lot of those event cinemas actually don't have any small their gold class lounge is their smallest, which, houses over, 60 people. And then there's, some that...
But 60 is nothing.
Yeah, but that's just the example of the ones with gold class. For example, if they do this, and I'm assuming they do, if they do this cinema deal at the St. Luke's cinemas, for example, there's nothing under like 150 for any of those cinemas.
But do they even do it there?
I
You know,
bet
because that's the thing. Like they can probably pick and choose where and which cinema and what time.
Oh,
and
you're
all that.
right.
And so if you're paying $250, they'll be like, "Cool, man. So come in on Monday morning at 10
We'll see you
a.m.
at 6 a.m. Monday morning, sharp.
You get the 60-seat cinema all to yourself with the 14-foot screen."
It's a sort of like that's a relatively valid argument, but I'm pretty sure that if you compare like every cinema everywhere is just playing to empty things at the moment because there's no new films coming out.
Well, especially as of yesterday. They're not even playing to empty cinemas.
So let's, fucking put on your fucking big boy pants, man up, and give some fucking independent filmmakers a fair shake, eh? Jesus.
Well, to be honest, we are going to be in quite a good bargaining position here, I think, after this tempest in a teapot blows over.
This 3-day tempest in a teapot just gone.
Once that's all done, because they're going to be even
more destitute.
They're going to be desperate for us to bring in 100 to 150 to 192 people to screen our fucking film.
Yes, I guess my issue is they're already that, and they didn't. And that's what hurts me.
Nah, it wasn't that bad. That's the thing. You're not talking to them. I'm going in there and having meetings with them and stuff. No, you're talking to a random projectionist. I went in and talked to like the managers of a place for another job of mine, like a related film industry job of mine. That's not that one, not this particular screening. And so I was getting the inside scoop on how it all works, but they didn't know I was listening on behalf of Pigville. They thought they were talking to me on behalf of this other production. And they were telling me, they were saying that like one of the issues they have is they've got heaps of local films with not enough push behind them. So it's like, oh, cool. So you can come in and play this film, but there's not enough marketing push to generate enough revenue from the ticket sales. Yep. So they do have stuff to play, but nobody's seeing or hearing about it because it's like little local shit, exactly like ours, which is exactly why they don't really want ours.
So the best thing to do,
we've got to hire it from them, full hire.
So the best,
four-walling is what it's called.
Exactly. So if they don't have the marketing money, the best thing to do is to charge them out the fucking ass so they have no more marketing money so they can never do it. It's fucking brilliant. It's genius.
When we're talking about approximately $1,000, which we can bandy about that number, I feel like that marketing, especially because it's going to cost $500 or $600 even at a different cinema, that marketing money of $400 is really rather insignificant.
Well, we have yet to prove.
Not to us.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to us.
And
but
for the potential to market the film with it as well. Like...
Well, a few boosted Facebook posts or something along those lines. Shout out to Bloody Doctor on the live stream, by the way, who's throwing some random dad puns at us and dad jokes. So thanks for that.
Love those. Don't get enough of those from Harley.
Yeah. So shout out to Bloody Doctor. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Do appreciate it. He says, if you rob a bank, you won't have a problem with food, rent, or bills for the next 10 years. If you rob a bank, you won't have a problem with food, rent, or bills for the next 10 years.
I see what he did there.
Regardless of success.
I see what he did there.
Yeah. Now we have it's election year here in New Zealand and also in the United States of America, as everybody is aware. But it's also an election year in New Zealand. In fact, we've got an election coming up in about it's next month, actually. And we also have, and this is exciting for the likes of me, the referendum. It's a referendum on whether or not you can smoke weed legally in New Zealand, whether they're going to legalize marijuana here. And so obviously I am going to be voting. I'm going to be voting yes on that. We should legalize it. And I do encourage all of the listeners to vote as well. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to vote. Because if you're stupid enough to look at 50 years of prohibition and think that it works, then I'm sorry, you're not intelligent enough to comprehend the nuances of the Guy and Harley podcast, let alone vote on issues that literally affect the future of humanity. So yes, that's interesting, and that's kind of coming up. It is a topic close to my heart, not just because I believe that the government should have absolutely no say in what I do with my body.
Close to your lungs as well.
Well, yeah, unless I eat it. It's close to my stomach then. But you know, also because and this is affecting me, is that I have a pre-employment medical test tomorrow. This is tomorrow. I probably shouldn't announce it on the show in case I fail, because in next episode I have to announce that I've failed it. But I have a pre-employment medical test tomorrow, despite level 3. And so if they're looking for like meth or cocaine, then that's fine, because I haven't done meth or cocaine in ages. But if there is sort of, it is within the realms of possibility, perhaps, that there could be residual trace elements of THC in my bloodstream from all the weed I've smoked regularly over the last 8 years. So we'll see how that goes. But it's kind of bullshit, right? Because they're checking to see if I smoked weed in the last 3 weeks type thing. Like, that's how long you can test for it. Well, you know, maybe even longer, right? It's madness. It's madness. You know, I'm going to be one of the last victims of prohibition here. They're gonna write books about me, I reckon. So I was thinking about doing a
Harley, I'm pretty sure that quite a lot of people will be having medical tests for job interviews, not just you in the you know, in the space of time.
Yeah, but those people aren't going to fail.
Yeah.
What I was thinking about doing was doing a drug test before I do it. You know,
Yep.
a test. So I looked into that. It was $90, and I could go along and do a drug test. And obviously, if I failed that one, then I'd push out my test for as long as possible. I'd keep procrastinating. But in the end, I decided I couldn't be bothered risking the $90. I'll just risk the whole job, the entire plan, my whole life plan. I'll just risk all that instead. So I have not done the drug test.
You'd rather save $90.
I'd rather
put your entire hopes and dreams into jeopardy for $90.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, well, so I've got a piss test tomorrow, and I laugh when they ask if my piss is clean. So, but marijuana, right? Here's the thing: prohibition has never worked. This is so stupid to, you know, like some people would have a glass of wine after work to relax. I'll blaze a fat fucking doobie, but I'm not doing it at work, right? So what's this fucking story? You know, prohibition has not worked, and marijuana is now available nationwide, day or night, because that's how inefficient prohibition actually is. Cannabis is ubiquitous. And so for 50 years in our culture, people have gone to jail for horticulture. Ridiculous. White-collar smokers, blue-collar smokers, black, white, brown, it doesn't matter. It's infiltrated every strata of our society. Prohibition is an affliction inflicted upon us by Nixon. That's all I have to say about that.
Good. That's good.
So you're going to vote? You're going to vote in that referendum, guy?
Probably not. I don't know.
Well, are you registered to vote?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, then it's real easy. You just choose yes or no in the when you go in to vote. It's part of your vote.
Then yes, I will definitely vote.
Okay, good. You should vote yes.
You know, I will
Yes,
absolutely vote yes. I don't have to be honest, like there is a very interesting ethical consideration around here, which is how much do you try and save people from themselves? Because you know, you could be the poster child, and I don't know if you could, but maybe you could be the poster child for the healthy weed man. You know, the guy that smokes and tokes his way through life without a care in the world,
cruises by,
with no ramifications.
Yeah.
Or, you know, conversely, it could have made you a lazy bastard, a lazy fat bastard that eats a lot, sleeps too much, and does fuck all. You just don't realize it.
But that's not me.
We don't know, because we don't know what you would be like with no weed.
No. We do know, because I didn't start smoking weed until I was 28.
Yeah, but okay.
And I was a far more of a layabout then. Nowadays, I get it all done. Tell you what, weed is like a superpower, right? For me, not for most people, admittedly. But, right, you know, like at the end of, you know, it's 9 p.m. I'm like, fuck, I'm about ready to Netflix and chill. And that's without the weed. But then I smoke some weed and I'm like, all right, better send these invoices. All right, gotta get this shit done. Better do this important thing.
Well, Kevin Smith has attributed weed to giving him that same sort of ability. Certainly hasn't been my case. But I guess why I say it too is that, like, I have seen people that weed has ruined their life. Like, it has totally destroyed all their, everything. And they just sit around smoking weed all day. And they also start doing things to, like, it affects their personality in negative ways and all that sort of thing. So, that's the, but do you say, well, you know, we have to protect those types of people? Or you go, well, that's just one set of people. Other set of people are fine. I mean...
No, you say, well, that's none of my business.
But I mean, also those people do, you know, become a burden on society in terms of, you know, the fact that we, the taxpayers, then, you know... I
see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. But
maintain their lifestyle.
The issue there is that I feel like you got to remember that certain types of people might, already have pre-existing issues, are also attracted to weed.
Sure.
You know, and other drugs and everything else, you know, like, you know, you can be attracted to these, you know, these other drugs and that type of thing, but you're also like got a predisposition towards it and towards trouble and towards issues. You got, you know, problems already in your life. And this is another factor. So you're going to go, well, that person's a total fuck up. And it's all the weed, when in reality, they're a total fuck up and they smoke weed. It's different.
Yeah. Well, I guess, you know, when I'm thinking of these particular cases, they seem to be doing very well before the weed. Now, I'm not saying there weren't inherent other issues, perhaps underlying issues that manifested themselves, and also you could make the argument, well, they would have just found another vice that enabled them to sort of
shopping,
fall off the beaten track. So I will still vote yes to weed. That's fine, and for those people. I will pay for the rest of my life. The ones that fall off the path, I'll pay for the rest of my life, just like any other drug addict.
Yeah, I don't think weed is addictive though. It's just a lovely thing. It's like cakes, you know, like you're like, cake. I'm always going to eat cake. I really enjoy cake. I really like eating cake. I mean, but if I have to, I'm going to really miss it. But I can give up cake if I have to.
Some types of food has proven to be largely addictive, though. You know,
the likes of McDonald's,
Mickey D's.
Yeah. Lexi Graves on the live stream says that she's going to take a shot every time Harley forgets that the world doesn't revolve around him.
Brilliant.
Man, you're gonna be pissed. You're gonna be so drunk.
It's already lost it. She's
already drunk.
We've already lost it. So that's a good call. It's a good burn. Good burn. I enjoy it. It's good. Yes, if I may go on one further rant myself.
Please.
Now, along with all these older materials that we're sort of trying to put together, one of the key elements, or not even key, because really the key element is online, right? It's our online release of the film. That's really where our bread and butter is. However, there is an antiquated thing, which some of our younger listeners might not be familiar with or have ever heard of before, called DVDs and Blu-ray.
Yeah.
DVDs and Blu-ray, once upon a time, were the only way that you could watch things before the revolution of the digital era. And they're kind of like vinyl before CDs and then MP3s. So I guess they're like CDs because they are CDs before MP3. So anyway, that's how people used to watch things. Now, I would say 99% of the population doesn't watch films by putting in something in a DVD or a Blu-ray player. Would that be safe to say? 99%? Maybe a bit...
Well, certainly in the first world. I mean, I can't guarantee what's happening in other places.
Yeah. So anyway, but they're still kind of like, what I see them now is they're a novelty item. They're a
collector's item.
Yeah, they're a boutique item where if you really love something or you want something a bit extra, maybe you'll show your support by getting one. So, of course, we're trying to have DVDs and Blu-rays for older because we want to cater to every person. We don't want to exclude anyone just because maybe they don't like the fucking internet. I mean, that's a all right stance. If you want to do it the old-fashioned way, well, more power to you. So we've been trying to make these DVDs and Blu-rays for what would be a very limited series of prints, you know. Make 20 here, 10 there, 30 there. Keep it real minimal, right? Because, to be honest, there's no fucking demand for DVDs and Blu-ray. Nothing. None. No one gives a shit about them. All right? So that's just established, right? So now I've been like, okay, I need to make these DVDs and Blu-rays. Now I need to go about authoring them. And authoring is essentially putting together the sort of the DVD menu and encoding it all and putting it on a disc. That's what DVD or Blu-ray authoring is. So I've been going around getting some quotes. Lowest quote so far. Lowest quote.
Okay.
$1,600. Now that's not to print like 100 or 1,000 DVDs. That is literally to make the 2 copies, one Blu-ray, one DVD, that would then be all the other ones that you print later. Just those, just to author the disc. $1,600. Another one quoted $18,000. Another one quoted $2,500. Are people fucking out of their mind? Is this 1992?
Well, and the issue is that you're trying to get technology that is now out of date. It's like if you wanted to get someone to put something on VHS for you, it's actually quite expensive.
It's $20. Right?
No.
$25?
Well, it's not 1,600. I'll give you that.
So anyway, this is my issue with this fucking dying industry thing, all right? We're back to dying industries. DVD and Blu-ray is not even a dying industry. It's a dead industry. So don't come at me, bro, with fucking charging me, hey, you know back in 1992 when you used to press 5,000 DVDs off your first run and you used to sell them all? Well, here's the rate for that from 1992. How do you like them apples? Don't come at me with that. That doesn't make any fucking sense. It is cost prohibitive for anyone now, given the amount of DVD or Blu-ray sales they're likely to make, for anyone to author a DVD at these fucking places. But I just want to go one step further than that, okay? People have to stop pretending, and I'm talking about these authoring houses, have to stop pretending that this shit isn't done on a fucking laptop like me and you are doing a podcast right now over the fucking internet, right? With shitty software that you could get for free online. Like, you cannot charge, you can't, like, act like, hey, we're a super specialist, guys. You know, we're specialists. You know, no one else can do this. This is super expensive software, you know.
Well, why can't they do that?
They can't do that because it's not true. It's the same with making DCPs now. It's the same with, like, I guess a lot of the post-production...
DC penis.
A lot of the... Thank you, dad joke number 1 from Harley Neville. It's like the world has changed. The way that things are finished now have changed. Essentially, a home computer can now do what a 40,000...
What are you saying? Why can't you do it?
I am fucking doing it!
Well, then why do you charge... Well, I don't understand, because basically they're charging 1,600. Yeah, and it's something that you can do at home.
I guess that's my point, is that, like, the last gasp, the last vestiges of this thing that they can do and that I would pay for to save me the trouble of fucking looking up a bunch of YouTube tutorials and borrowing my friend's computer from 2011 to make, I would happily pay a couple of $100 to solve that problem and make it go away. But no one in their fucking right mind would not teach themselves to do it if you're going to start charging these insane amounts. I also just...
So you should set up a wee business where you make them for other people for $1,200.
Well, if I figure it out, maybe I will. And maybe I'll charge appropriate rates. But
Well, what's your definition of appropriate when you're on the buying end, not the receiving, not the working?
That's
end?
what I'm saying.
How much is appropriate from Guy Pigden's perspective? Is it $200 or something?
Yeah, $200.
200. So would you do it for 200?
If when I figure out how to do it, yeah. I mean, I've done it.
Yeah. So you'll be like, I put in months of work figuring out how to make this. I've had to buy some specialist equipment, but I'll only charge you $200.
Yeah, because I'm literally using something that is I'm using a computer that is worth $200. Like,
yeah, but it's a computer you can't replace for $200 because it's the computer from 2011. You need a time machine. Time machines you can't buy for $200.
Not true, but there is a thing. There is a
Overpriced.
thing called Trade Me Harley, which has many of these computers on it, where I feel like you don't need a time machine. Different strategies, but I guess it just boggles my fucking mind. It's boggling it. And you just see this over and over again. It's like this refusal to admit that the world has changed and moved on. And we can all do this on our computers. You're not hoarding secret knowledge anymore in your $20,000 production facility.
Okay, but what about this? What about this? You and I, we're very
seasoned.
Cost aware is what I was going to say. Cheap is one way of saying it. I was going to say cost aware.
Okay.
We're very cost aware. But there's other people out there who are less cost aware that are like, well, look, I need to get a run of DVDs made. I'm going to make several $1,000s out of this because my movie's popular and cool. And $1,600 is fine. You know, this is all good. Let's do it. Yeah, and that's for the Blu-ray and the DVD. Awesome. Yeah, $1,600, no problem. Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you very much for your time, sir. And thank you for retaining this archaic knowledge. It's definitely worth $1,600. Anyway, I'm going to make 10 grand out of this, so $1,600 is not too bad.
Even if you're making that much, because also, you know, you do have to remember they haven't printed any of the DVDs yet.
Yeah, they'll charge us.
So you've got to add on whatever that cost is. So you're actually gonna have to sell a lot of fucking DVDs, which no one is doing if you want to break even, which is why this whole concept doesn't make sense from their fucking day dot. But anyway, that's my cross to bear.
Not for us cheap asses.
My cross to bear as I look up DVD authoring tutorials on YouTube every night.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that we made DVDs, you know, back in the day, and it didn't seem.
Well, that's the thing. That's right, Harley. You're 100% right, which is why these quotes hurt me so much. Yes.
So, Lexi Graves on the live stream, I've said before she subscribed to us, and I didn't really know what that meant. I thought she just followed us, and I gave her shit for that. But actually, she subscribed, which means that actually it's like a paid. I'll have to look and see what this means, but I think it's like a monthly payment thing, and that means that she's our first ever paid subscriber on Twitch. So big shout out to Lexi Graves, and that means that she can use our emote, and we've got a special emote which is like a little picture that you can use only if you've subscribed to us, and this emote is the half hairy meme. It's my half hairy meme, and you can see it in the chat on Twitch right now if you go and have a look. So yes, big shout out to Lexi Graves.
Thank you very much.
What a legend. I'm so glad she had all those shots, got drunk, and then accidentally subscribed to us, and she's going to wake up in the morning full of remorse,
full of shame, but
it'll be too late. She will have given us $4 for the month or whatever.
Which is, you know, not dissimilar to waking up in the morning after seeing your half hairy body in real life, or whole hairy body, depending on where you're at with your manscaping.
Like normally, if I'm going out to the club, I'll do the half hairy shave beforehand, just in case I meet any groupies, any half hairy meme groupies, you know. So yeah. Yeah. Now you had your operation.
I did.
Hang on. Lexi Grave also bought a shirt.
It's brilliant.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll have to check and see what those shirts even were. I made them on the shop, so I hope they turn out good. But thank you, Lexi. That's awesome. Now what was I saying?
Surgery.
Oh yes, you finally had Operation 2. Now this has been, you had a ruptured labia. And in your right thigh first, and your right hip.
Torn
first?
labrum. Yes, that's correct.
And then a year or a year and a half later, you ruptured your other.
Not true.
And
no.
No.
What happened was basically they were both fucked. but the one started giving me trouble before the other. And then as I was recovering from the first surgery, I was putting more pressure on that second on my left side, which caused more damage. And ultimately, essentially, just as I was recovering, they were like, yep, the other one's fucked too. Do you want to go in for the surgery on that one? And I was like, yeah, I would like to, thank you. And they go, cool, we'll put you on the list. Now, the list is meant to be within 4 months. It took over a year by the time. And I do have to wonder, now that the final results have come through,
if it would have been better off
if
a
it would
year
have been
ago.
much better off to get it a year ago when I initially started giving me some serious discomfort, because what they discovered, so basically what happened is I went in for the surgery and they were like, how you feeling, bud? I was like, good, cool, ready for the surgery. They're like, cool. Here's the thing. We have some serious casualties have just come in and they're taking up all the operating theatres, so you can go home. And I was like, really? Because I scheduled some time off and everything, and it's really quite important that I get this done right now because I won't have another opportunity and I teach and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, sorry about that. But come back on Friday. Now, when you go in for a surgery, you definitely do some mental preparation and sort of try and quell the nerves and the concerns and all those sort of things. You know, surgeries can go wrong. People don't wake up from anesthetics. All these thoughts run through your head. And you're always a little bit nervous, but then you kind of go, cool, it's happening today. And then they go, no, it's not. You thought it was, but it's not. But maybe it'll happen on Friday, or maybe the same thing will happen again. Now, they postponed it. They postponed it a few days. I did have it on Friday. So what I sort of found, so the first thing that threw me was that I was sort of waiting in the thing, and they're like, yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool. Yeah, I know the drill. All good. Sounds good. Everything's fine. I even know about the torture device. I'm not worried. The torture device that dislocates my hip in this procedure so you can get in there. I know all about it, mates. Don't worry. And they go, cool. And then I was just sitting there ready again. And the anesthesiologist, I don't know if that's what you call him, but
the anaesthetist. Fetch the anaesthetist.
Comes back in and he goes, hey, now just wondering, how would you feel about an epidural? And I was like, isn't that what they give to pregnant people to relieve pain and stuff? And he was, it was like, yeah. We put a sort of quite a big needle into your spine, and it sort of numbs the lower extremities, but it also minimizes bleeding. And so basically the surgeon wants you to have an epidural to minimize the bleeding, so when he's in there, he won't be distracted by all the blood splurting out in his face. And I was like,
I can see the logic.
So and I was like, so you do that when I'm asleep, right? And they're like, no, we stick that in before we put you under, of course. And I was like, right, so you're just going to jam a giant needle in the back. He's like, look, I can tell him no. You know, we don't have to do that. And I was like, but that's what he thinks will be best for the surgery. And he was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess you better do that then. And so...
Well, it's kind of bullshit to even ask you. Like, I mean, what the fuck do you know about surgery? Just be like, look, what does the surgeon say to do? Do what he says.
Well, that's the thing, though, because...
Listen to the
because
scientist.
it is it's an optional choice. The surgery can go ahead without it.
Yeah, but why ask the average fucking animal off the street? Why ask them? You know, like, hey, would you like an epidural? I don't fucking know. You tell me.
Well, I think they have to explain what it is and what it means. I mean, my back is still a little bit sore from it. It does do a little bit of damage. But anyway, so I went from being relatively zen about the operation before the operation to absolutely shitting my fucking pants because I hate needles, and I definitely hate the prospect of a giant needle being jammed into my fucking spine. And in fact, there's two needles. The first one to numb the area, and then the second one to go into your spine. But they did that, and that was basically the last thing I remember until I woke up. And unfortunately, this hip surgery did not go as well as the last hip surgery. The idea initially, and it took much longer too. It took 3.5 hours that I was in the operating room, and basically that they were like, look, we couldn't reattach your labrum, which is what they wanted to do. That's the best possible outcome because there was too much damage in there. So all we've managed to do is kind of file it away so it's not catching. There's no hip impingement anymore, which means that it will alleviate some of the pain. However, this does mean that, in your future, there is probably going to be some maybe hip resurfacing will be the next one because there's so much damage in there. And I was like, cool. Well, I guess there's no impingement, so that's 1+ for these 2 bad hips. So, but what that has meant is that essentially, whereas the first surgery was a very long recovery because they did reattach my labrum successfully, I believe, and they were able to sort of fix it more because they didn't really fix anything. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So they kind of just went in there, had a little dig around, shaved a bit away, and my recovery time seems to be much quicker. I'm in much less pain. I'm a much more mobile because they couldn't fucking fix it.
Yeah. Well, that is not great news. Now, it's
not bad news, but it's not amazing news.
It's not the best news. Now, you have a strange relationship with a wrestler. Now, this wrestler's name is Alex Sandwich.
Close personal friend.
And this guy, Alex Savage, he is a wrestler, and you have this kind of quantum entanglement relationship with him, whereby what happens to his body happens to your body, and vice versa. Even though you're two completely separate people, it's quantum entanglement. It's really
scientific,
quite interesting. But so anyway, I'm really curious as to how your hip surgery, and I know that Mark Cookson's 5150 listener, Mark Cookson, I know he's out there and he's certainly wondering, how is this hip surgery of Guy Pigden going to affect the wrestling career of Alex Sandwich?
Well, it's a very, very valid question, and the answer is, at least to some degree, TBC. TBC, to be confirmed. Now, there is no doubt that I think Alex Savage will return. He is a big supporter of the film Older, and he's probably going to be taking some time off to be focusing on that and his appreciation of the film as a close personal friend. But he may be back in the ring sooner rather than later. And we'll just have to see how he goes. They did advise for me to never do squats again. And if you know anything about wrestling, you're doing, like, one of the exercises is do 100 squats to warm up, do 200 squats to warm up, do as many squats as you can until you can't move anymore. So I am, Alex Savage, I'm sure, is looking forward to providing a doctor's certificate to exclude him from that particular exercise. But because the rehab has not begun, it's kind of a bit too early to really say.
But ambiguous at the moment. So we don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell. Yes. Okay. Well, that's good. My news, right, is that I finally set a date to move to Dunedin, which means that every podcast for the rest of our lives is going to be done remotely. So I have set a date to move to Dunedin. Now, this is obviously pre the new COVID lockdown. Now, Dunedin is on the other side of the country. Auckland's at the top of the North Island. Dunedin is at the bottom of the South Island, and that is our home city. It's the best city in New Zealand, but there's not enough work down there in the film and TV biz, so you tend to kind of migrate north a little bit. But I want to go down there and I want to buy a house, and I've got this job down there, drug test pending approval, and so that's all very exciting. So I've booked all that. I've done all that, and that means that we are very unlikely to do another podcast in person before I go. Assuming I go when I hope to go. So this is going to be, for the listeners out there, this is going to be how the podcast goes from now on. It's going to be Skype until I come back to Auckland or Guy comes home to Dunedin. Which is what I'm aiming
until I
for.
retire from all my hopes and dreams here in Auckland and decide to, hey, I gave it a good shot, but it's time to go home.
I am your hopes and dreams, Guy. Pigville is your hopes and dreams, and we can make movies anywhere. And so we'll see how we go. My intention is to be down there. Now this is top secret because I don't want my new employer to hear it. But you know, I imagine that I'll be down there for 6 to 12 months, or 12 months is kind of what I think, but I don't really know. You know, the thing is that if I impregnate a local, which could happen. Well, I mean, I say it could happen, but I haven't had sex in a long time, so there's no reason to think it might happen. But, you know, let's just imagine that I go down there. I'm a big fish in a small pond, you know, and you never
I tell
know.
you what, you're an old fish in a young pond.
I'm an old, smelly, half-dead fish on the
scales
footpath,
falling off, flopping around
in a small, polluted pond.
Yes, yeah. It could happen, but I can't imagine anyone saying that they would not enjoy the bright lights of big city of Auckland when you introduce them to the wonders of what's good about Auckland? Oh, I don't know. I'm sure there's something.
Well, yeah, what is good? Another shot for Lexi Graves, she says on the live stream, because Harley starts talking about himself again. To be fair, you know, I mean, we did just talk about your hip for quite a while. Now we're allowed to talk about this large move to Dunedin.
I think she was.
I'm driving as well. It's like a 3-day journey, for crying out loud. It's a 3-day journey. We're not allowed to talk about it on the show. Maybe we could do a podcast where I use all my data and I have my phone set up and I'm driving and I'm driving and talking and we do a podcast. I really doubt that'd work, but you know, it might.
Yeah, Alexis says that it was when you said that I am your hopes and dreams is what she was referring to. Yeah, I think that's what she was talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean that's true. That might be the name of the episode.
So that's the thing though, because now we're in COVID again. And as you said, as you speculated, you haven't had Jacinda whispering in your ear this time, whispering sweet nothings in your ear.
I do actually have an interesting scoop about Jacinda, but I'll get to that. But you continue.
Well, you just speculated that. Look, if we're in lockdown for 3 weeks, at level 3 is no traveling, right? It's no traveling out of Auckland.
I don't think so. I mean, it would defeat the point. The whole purpose of a quarantine would be, you know, if I'm like, anyway, dudes, I'm off to Dunedin. That might be an issue. So, yeah, presumably there could be some issues here. There could be some delays maybe, which is a problem because I've already booked my I told my granddad I was going to come visit him on the way. I've already booked a night at his place. And then I've also booked a ferry to get across the from the North Island to the South Island. So that's booked and paid for.
So you may be waylaid. Also, aren't you going to have to move out of your flat?
Yeah, I've done that. I've already given my notice and everything. So I'm going to be a homeless person in about 2.5 weeks during the COVID
pandemic. But I guess
pandemic.
they can't get a new flatmate in this time.
Exactly. So I'll just stay here and not pay, and there'll be nothing they can do about
brilliant.
it.
That's sort of that throws an interesting wrinkle in your plans. But I guess it just means you'll go first thing after lockdown.
Time will tell, my friend.
I tell you what, if you fucking change your mind again, fuck's sake.
Oh, I can't change it. I've got a job. Assuming I pass this drug test.
Well, you can change it. If you, what happens if you book a roll on shorties?
Oh, well then...
all bets are off.
All bets are off, but here's the thing. I have set myself up in such a way that this job down there, I'm only actually obligated to work for them a very small amount. And so if I had a role on Shorty, I could organise to be in Auckland for that time. So, for example, I'm coming back to Auckland in October to work for a large, New Zealand's biggest and best short film festival. I'm coming up back to Auckland for 2 whole weeks in October, which is only a month after I get there, and I've already organised that. But my obligations to them are quite low in terms of what I have to commit to. So this is the beauty of it. I've got a lot of flexibility. I am really wearing the pants in this relationship, as long as I can pass this drug test.
Well, I'm sure you will be able to update you, or you'll be able to update us, I should say, on that little incident.
Well, I will. Yeah. Now, so I did want to give you guys a scoop. This is a Guy and Harley exclusive. I actually, I've known this for quite a long time, and I did not bring it up on the show because I guess I didn't really want to betray Jacinda's trust. Now, but long-term listeners will know that I have been sleeping with Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, for quite a long time. I'm her piece on the side. I travel in sort of elite circles, but people don't know that. I'm sort of a influential by association, I guess, is what I am. And so anyway, I hang out in these kind of elite circles occasionally. I do have this scoop that I've gotten from Jacinda. I didn't really want to break it on the show. I felt bad about it, but I also felt like, well, shit, if I don't bring it up, it's obviously going to come out at some point, and then people are going to not believe me that I actually am sleeping with Jacinda Ardern. So I thought this is probably when I'm going to bring it up. Now, Jacinda isn't married, but she does have a partner.
Yep.
She's seeing
a child
guy
with that partner.
With the partner, which is fine. Like, there's no, I'm not, I'm her piece on the side, and I've come to accept that. But she is with this sort of D-list television presenter whose name is Gay Clarkford. And now Gay Clarkford, he's a bit of a success story in the sense that he was sort of just a TV presenter who got, he suddenly he
got the Prime Minister pregnant.
He knocked out the Prime Minister, exactly, which is what I was hoping for. But so anyway, look, the scoop is, the scoop is that he's been caught.
Okay.
Gay Clarkford has been snapped having an extramarital affair.
Whoa.
And this is a Guy and Harley podcast exclusive.
Some big news dropping.
And this is big news. And the thing is that people are going to look, they're going to say, Harley, you're full of shit. You're absolutely a liar. You're talking shit on the show. You're not sleeping with
You're making up lots of stories.
No way. You're making up. This is slander.
Yeah, this is actually illegal what you're doing, is what they'll say. They'll say you're actually breaking the law and could be punishable, to the fullest extent.
Well, this is another reason why I wanted to, hold off on maybe breaking this scoop. But it is going to come out at some point that there has been some, rumors around. Let's call them rumors that he has been snapped having an affair with the nanny, which is funny because he is the nanny, but. He's the stay-at-home
dad.
sort of the stay-at-home dad, but obviously there is a nanny as well. Of course, they're rich, and so the scoop I have is that he has been busted with the nanny, and this is all going to come out. But obviously, they're keeping it on the DL until after the election, which is next month. So you might recall that I did. Predict accurately when we were going to come out of lockdown. Remember, I said it was June 9th first. You misheard me at the time. You thought I said July 1st, but actually I said June 9th first. And so I've got a good track record with these things. And so I do want to say that Gay Clarkford.
I'm pretty sure it's Clark Gayford, but anyway.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Gay Clarkford. Yes, so that is a Guy and Harley podcast exclusive. I just want to put that out there right now, and I'm just gonna let it linger out there like a smelly fart, like a smelly.
Will it go
fart.
away, or will it just stick around?
It's gonna stick around.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd love to.
Well, I was about to say I'd love to know your sources, but your sources is Jacinda Ardern when she was having an affair with you. It's tit for tat,
and continues.
It's tit for tat, though, then, isn't it? You can't really feel sorry for her.
No, it's tit for titties.
Yeah,
it's tat for tats.
Yeah. So, was he in fact just responding to what you've been doing?
So really, this is all my fault.
Because it kind of comes back to you and what you've done.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I ruined the best family in New Zealand.
Well, that'll be interesting. Look. It's such a cliche to have an affair with a nanny, but on this,
Jacinda does listen to the show, by the way. She's a CD160 listener.
Of course she is. If she's having an affair with you,
yeah.
But if you're going to have an affair with anyone, make it someone close to home. There's a lot of convenience. Look, we can't deny that Jacinda has been an absent partner in a lot of.
Well, she's a busy power woman.
She's a power broker. She's the most important woman in New Zealand. But do you really think that at the end, like, she's dealing with a global pandemic, she's fielding off these lecherous National Party attacks, and
these lecherous podcast presenters,
and through all of this, she's a mum. And she's walking around with a smile on her face.
There's a recession.
There's jobs at stake. There's whole industries. The tourism industry, the hotel industry, are all going to the dogs. And through all this, she's led us with common sense, bravery, and a can-do, an unwavering can-do spirit to inspire the population of New Zealand. But do you really think after all of that, she's going home and giving Clark Gayford a little bit of nookie to keep him going through these turbulent times? Especially if she's also sleeping with you. Yeah. How much?
And I do satisfy.
How many times? How much of her does she have to give away?
Yeah.
How much exactly. And so he's kind of been left with shall we say, it appears by your claims, sloppy seconds. Yeah. And clearly he wasn't happy with that, and that's how he started dating the nanny.
Yeah. Well, exactly. So there you go. You heard it here first, people. I swear, if when this all comes out, you guys are going to be like, holy shit, Harley really is fucking Jacinda. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that little tidbit. I'm excited to see what the nanny looks like.
Yeah.
Have we got any intel on that? We got any? I mean, you've been around there. You must have seen.
No. Jacinda comes to my house
on her trips up. I see.
She uses my ensuite.
Of course.
Yeah. So she, I don't know. You actually can't really see it on the live stream, but there's a large
toilet behind you.
Painting of me with a large toilet behind me, and then hanging above my bed is a large commissioned painting of me as a futuristic space warrior.
Yes. How much money did you spend on that art that you commissioned of yourself?
400.
Money well spent. Let's have a look at this.
Money well spent.
Are you going to shift it over? There he is.
Yeah, so hopefully we don't show off too much else on the in my room there, too much filth in my room. But if you're on the live stream, you'll be able to see in the background, in the deep background there's a large
there he
picture
is.
of me as a futuristic space warrior.
From Warcraft. So there you go.
That's from Warhammer, mate. Warhammer 40K.
So there you go, Lexi. I mean, that's worth a couple of shots, isn't it? Surely that's worth a few shots. That's worth a whole fucking bottle. He spent $400 on that monstrosity.
So Jacinda loves that anyway. She's always telling me. All right. Well, look. What else you got?
One final thing for me. We talked a little bit about the film. If people do want to support the film, you still can. It's still coming out on August 23rd, available on demand on Vimeo for New Zealand listeners, and hopefully the censored version is coming out on Amazon at the same time, although we're still actually waiting for confirmation that our censorship has been approved, and all those
we haven't heard
all those judicious cuts have been for a reason. All those beautiful, glorious sex scenes that we had to omit. Hopefully, there was.
I still think that you went too far on the omitting. You took out 4 minutes worth of sex out of the Guy and out of the. There's no sex on the Guy and Harley podcast, unfortunately.
Well, apart from you and Jacinda that you've just been talking about the last 10 minutes.
Yeah,
you didn't go into detail.
Well, there's lots of talk about sex.
But in the film, there is actually lots of sex.
And you cut out 4 minutes of it, which I feel like is that, I understand why you did it. I know why you did it. You did it because you can only afford to cut it once. And you can't do it multiple times. So you just had to cut once and cut with extreme prejudice. And I get that. But I do feel like we could have, we cut too much out of the Amazon version.
I agree.
4 minutes worth of sex is a lot of sex.
I agree.
To cut out.
It's a lot. It's a large percentage of the film, and the best bits of the film, literally the best bits. So
So if you want to get the real version out there, you guys really want to get the version on Vimeo. If you're in New Zealand, you get the Vimeo version. You can that's the version with the full set,
and also with a whole bunch of you can get the
artistic integrity.
And if you get the special edition, you'll get some wonderful commentaries, one from Harley and myself, and one from myself with the other leading actors. And some behind-the-scenes stuff, bloopers. It's all good stuff, so highly recommend that. And also, I will, add a little caveat in there, because we keep saying New Zealand only, Harley. We keep saying New Zealand only. But there are some, shall we say, nefarious ways to bypass that New Zealand only element. Now, I don't know if anyone's heard of IP blockers, but you can get them for free, and they're very easy to use. And perhaps then no one would be quite sure whether you were from New Zealand or not when you were logging on to Vimeo and purchasing that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, if you were to find a way to get around that, you could buy the New Zealand version of it, and you could see the full version of it. Another way, though, if you were international, another way to do it would be to keep an ear out, because we will be selling these Blu-rays and DVDs, and these Blu-rays
that I've said are so easy to make.
These $1,600 Blu-ray and DVDs, and we're only going to charge you guys $1,500. But if you get that version of it, which we will post to you when it comes out, you will be seeing the full director's cut with the extra and very important formats.
Correct.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you get it on Amazon Prime, which I still encourage you to do, it's still a great movie. It is still a great movie, and do go and get it. It's not on Amazon Prime just yet. We're waiting to hear when it will be, but it's happening soon. So yeah.
So I will say, the irony of us going into lockdown, and I'm so glad that I did this, is when I was waiting for the DCP to be ingested, which is when they basically loaded onto the projector program or whatever, I had some downtime, and I went to see the first film that I've seen in the cinema since March, since the lockdown, to kill some time. And there are very few new movies out, but this one was a new movie, and it was a movie very close to my heart because it was a zombie film titled For No...
I bet I know what it is.
Titled For No Good Fucking Reason. I mean, Peninsula. That's what it's called.
Yeah. Presented by the Train to Busan, Peninsula. Yep. Peninsula, presented by Train to Busan.
Yeah, so essentially it's Train to Busan 2.
Can you tell that story while I take a real quick pee?
So they couldn't call it Train to Busan 2 because there's no trains and they're not going to Busan. But it is the, I guess, spiritual sequel to Train to Busan. I'm assuming it's made by the same people. Train to Busan is a great South Korean zombie film, which is kind of zombies on a train, I guess you would say. But very cool, very well done. Lots of fun. We did talk about it on the podcast many moons ago. And so I was in the cinema and I was watching Peninsula, and I did marvel at the fact that I was like, really, you couldn't find some other element to incorporate zombies, horror, anything rather than just Peninsula? Why is it called Peninsula? Because it's about a peninsula in the sense that in the storyline, basically all of that area has been quarantined, and then some very few survivors got off the island and over to Hong Kong, where they're treated as kind of outcasts for having this incident happen, much like our COVID privilege here in New Zealand, where we treat everyone but the opposite, where we treat the rest of the world like shit. But anyway, so I thought it was really good. There was some bad cases of CGI-itis going on. Definitely some stuff that would get Harley into work Harley into a frenzy, work Harley into a rage. I was just saying, Harley, that there was some in this film, which overall is a good film and well worth watching.
I've heard some bad things about the CGI.
Yeah, I was going to say, CGI-itis running
unnecessary
rampant.
CGI-itis.
Well, the issue, I think, was that they just could not afford. Essentially, there's these extended car chases, which are essentially just fucking video game cars driving along video game roads, and then they cut inside and it's real people. And there's also lots of smashing into computer zombies, and all of it definitely falls a little bit flat. Now, I understand why they did it, because clearly they didn't have a Hollywood-style budget to sort of do all that stuff for real, and obviously you can't mow down a bunch of real stuntmen by the hundreds. It's a bit...
Well, they managed to do it in all the other good movies, so I'm sure there's a way.
Not by the hundreds, you just hit one person here and there.
Well, that's the challenge of filmmaking. You've got to keep on growing.
So any...
You've gone all profile guy. You're framing as
I've turned a little bit. I just fix it like that.
Yeah.
But so anyway, this so it does have too much CGI. That's the negative. The cool part of it is it's very post-apocalyptic. So it marries the two things that I really enjoy, which is zombies and a post-apocalyptic world, and it's quite Mad Max-ish. It's sort of quite what's that one with Will Smith where he fucking
I Am Legend, which I only had a problem with that because of the CGI in it. I would have liked it if the monsters in
it
just
fucking
were just
people.
played by real people.
Just have real people play real people.
Exactly. We don't need this silly nonsense with all the CGI stuff. I'd rather see a person in makeup getting pretend punched than a CGI monster who has way more detail or whatever.
Well, that's the thing that they're
still getting pretend punched.
Well, that's the thing. We're we can make a CG. We can make them look way scarier if they're all CG, and it's but you've missed the most important thing, which is by making them CG, you've made them not real, and by making them not real, you've made them not scary, because we all know they're not fucking real, they're not really there, and none of it works. So anyway,
exactly. This is what let down.
But it does have sort of elements of are you talking about the Jada Pinkett incident? Kind of reminds me of what's happened with you and Jacinda, to be honest.
Well, look, I guess that those in glass houses should not throw stones, I guess, right? So I probably shouldn't bring it up, seeing as I'm part of this adulterous affair with Jacinda. I caught whatever the bloody nanny has. It's fucking terrible.
Well, I thought Jacinda was really only exclusively sleeping with you at this point.
Well, they are sharing a bed occasionally.
All right, so she still has to keep up appearances, is what you're saying.
Yeah, things still happen.
No, I understand it. You haven't put a hard rule on that one.
I have no say in it. Look. Jacinda shows up when she wants to, and I'm grateful. That's how it works. Like,
and you're
I
very
don't expect her to be the
you're
number
very
one...
appreciative. You're very thankful.
Exactly. I'm not the number one man in her life, and I understand that, and I accept that. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm not married. I'm not the one who... She's not married either, but, nobody here made any silly lifelong promises to only sleep with one person.
True.
Nobody in this situation did that. The nanny didn't. I didn't. Gay didn't. And Gay Clarkford didn't. And Jacinda didn't, But, yeah.
Well, yes. Well, back to Peninsula. Good, solid zombie film. And what did they get right? So the CGI they got wrong. The post-apocalyptic stuff was cool. It definitely also had a bit of a Escape from New York vibe to it, because essentially they've got to go in and get this large chunk of money, which is meaningless to zombies but still meaningful in the real world, and get it out of there. So basically they've got to go. They've crossed the peninsula to the infected
zone.
So they're
doing it for money?
What's that?
They're
yeah,
doing
basically.
Well, is this a spoiler?
No. I mean, this is established in like the first 10 minutes of the film. Okay. So anyway, they're going over because they're just a bunch of they're a bunch of outcasts. They've come originally from there, and they're frowned upon in new society as like potential zombie infectoids. So it's like someone with corona coming in, and everyone looks down on them. Similar type of vibe. So anyway, good zombie film, some pretty good zombie action, but really what makes it, and this is what makes every fucking horror film that's ever good, and I wouldn't say this is more of an action horror than a horror, but what makes any horror film good is the characters, and they got the fucking characters right. They gave us reasons to care about the characters. They gave us some good backstory and all that sort of thing. They set up the characters before they got thrown into the insanity, which I think is always important. And it's all about the characters, man, at the end of the day, because nothing matters if you don't care. And thankfully, you do care about these people. So, I don't know. I might even give it the edge. I kind of enjoyed it. Apart from the insane CGI-ness, apart from that, I think I enjoyed this post-apocalyptic version even better than the original. And I saw it in the cinema, which is great because now there's no more cinemas again.
Yeah. Because cinemas don't exist anymore.
And unless you want to play video games with 10 of your mates for $250.
Now, shout out to Tyler Adams on the live stream. A, for being a good
As always.
B, because he says that those fucking jaws stretching in I Am Legend, and that was honestly the moment that really took me out. When they would scream or whatever, and the jaw of these CGI zombies would be just too big. Now, look, if you take a real actor and you go rah, and then you artificially use CGI to make their
which
jaw,
is what we did,
dislocate and go
we
longer.
Did that at one point, And Harrow.
Oh, yes, we did it very
subtle.
briefly. We did do it.
It's all about
Harrow.
subtlety.
It was subtle. But if you use a real person and then you dislocate the jaw, it looks creepy
unnatural.
and scary and cool. And unnatural, exactly. But if you take a computer-generated thing and you do it, you're like, well, who gives a fuck? It's all computer-generated. Like, it's not surprising. It's like, well, it's a fucking rubber band. You can do whatever you want.
Also, Tyler...
It's Play-Doh. Play-Doh monsters.
Tyler Adams, obviously a talented visual effects artist in and of himself, so he sort of knows about visual effects and he knows about CGI-ness, and he's all about the realness. So
he is, yeah. And shout out to Mr. Bernie 001 as well, who is probably Bernie Rao, who is probably... Bernie Rao definitely is, but I'm guessing that Mr. Bernie 001 on the live stream who we're talking about sex and older, he says, what? No sex? Bring on the director's cut. Now, I'm guessing that's Bernie Rao from, who was the writer-director of the smash hit
worldwide
movie.
international hit.
Worldwide international hit. It's done way better than I Survived a Zombie Holocaust.
I mean, you didn't have to say that, but yes, it's true. It has done.
Despite having 10%
a fraction of the budget and a fraction of the support.
Yep, and so this movie, Killer Sofa, which is available internationally on Amazon and various other places, and you should go check it out if you get the chance. He was saying, what? No sex? Bring on the director's cut for that. I am also in. I'd just like to. You better take a shot. Actually, Lexi, you better take a shot because I am actually in Killer Sofa and it is available internationally, and you should go check it out. Killer Sofa, great film.
Yeah. So, I guess it's probably a good time to wrap it up. But
well, the only reason I wanted to stop before was because I desperately needed to pee, but I'm good. I'm good now. Peed my pants.
I mean, I have just drunk a bottle of Diet Coke, a coffee, and a mug of apple juice in the duration of this. So, some pant pissing is on the horizon for myself at some point.
Got it. Well, we better leave them.
I've also got to figure out this DVD authoring thing.
Yeah. Tyler Adams just watched Killer Sofa, and he gave it a big fat thumbs up.
Nice.
So thank you, Tyler. You better connect with Bernie Rao because Bernie is a mover and a shaker. That was his first feature film. His second feature film is already out.
And in fact, he's finished his third as well.
Okay.
Which is,
or maybe actually he did the Baldlands as well, which might have also been a feature. Yeah, so who knows how many features he's done, but you should definitely connect with him. More than me. Bernie Rao, writer, director, mover and shaker, and definitely a man worth knowing, definitely a man worth connecting with, so definitely check him out.
Yeah, shout out to Bernie, always a good dude. Had some great advice for us too on our journeys through independent film. I also just quickly point out I did watch another, in my convalescence, I did watch another thing. I watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy again. Two things struck me. The first, at least in New Zealand Netflix, right? They have The Fellowship of the Ring and Return of the King, but they don't have The Two Towers. Fucking ace, Netflix. I see you've lost the rights to that one. I'm sure it's expired. But wouldn't you all get the rights at the same time for all three?
Well, especially for New Zealand, right? Where it's freaking shot.
But anyway, so if you want to watch it on Netflix, just skip the middle. Just watch the start of the end. Never mind how they fucking got there. But anyway, I did watch Lord of the Rings. It had been a long time. And I will say that they are fucking great films. Peter Jackson deserves maybe more credit. I feel like they've been...
No. I mean, he is literally Sir Peter Jackson now. You can't give him too much more credit.
He is Sir Peter.
What else are you going to give him?
They have knighted him, I guess.
He's literally knighted the guy.
I guess they have knighted him for his services to film. The highest accolade you could possibly receive in the arts. They've also made him the OBE or the whatever the bloody thing is. They've given him all the awards. But I still feel like Lord of the Rings is like...
He's a multi-millionaire.
He's a billionaire, I believe.
I
believe so. Peter Jackson. But look, I'm still saying that the Lord of the Rings films are underappreciated, man, because we've had a bit of a bad taste in it. We've had a bit of a bad taste in our mouth with the multiple endings, which aren't so bad when you go back and rewatch it. B,
oh, Mr. Frodo, the movie's finally finished. No,
I'm afraid it's not, Sam.
Oh, Mr. Frodo. No, I'm afraid not, Sam. There's still 3 more endings. Oh, Mr. Frodo.
Yeah, like I will say that, again, like me and my girlfriend were watching Return of the King, and at the end they're like,
my girlfriend.
My girlfriend and I, were watching Return of the King, and then basically they're all celebrating, and Aragorn comes over to them, and they're about to bend down to the new king, and he's like, "No, you kneel to no one, little hobbits," or something like that, and then they all kneel to the fucking hobbits, and I'm like, "That's it, you guys nailed it. It's time to get out of here. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
And then there is a legit 20 minutes after that where they go back to the Shire and then he gets on a boat and no one gives a fuck because you had the perfect ending.
You do need to figure out what happened to Bilbo. You got to figure out what happened to Bilbo. Bilbo went with the elves, which is an analogy for dying.
Yeah, well, they all went with the elves, and but that's the thing. It's like then Frodo.
They all went. I thought
no.
Just Bilbo
Frodo
went.
Goes too, and Frodo
and Sam goes to the Shire. And knocks up a local.
Frodo goes. But
that's me. I'm going back to the Shire to knock up a local.
And I'm going off.
I'm
going to diminish into the west like the elves. So basically, they're going off on a boat. But basically, they're seeing Bilbo off, and then Frodo goes, "Surprise, bitches! I'm going too because I'm a ring holder as well." And everyone's like, what?
Forgot that
And
bit.
see, this is the bit, and this is again taking it too far, because Frodo gives Sam a big old kiss on the forehead, which I just feel like is like, there's nothing wrong with showing affection. But if I've known you, my best friend of 20 years, when you go down to Dunedin, I'm not going to give you a sensuous kiss on your forehead, because that'd be weird.
When I leave,
That'd
I'm
be
going
weird.
to give you a kiss on the forehead, and I'm going to take a
That'd
photo
be,
of it
and
I'm
go
gonna post it.
and like put it side by side with a kiss on the forehead of Frodo and Sam in Return of the King. That's actually a good idea.
Facebook.com/Guy and Harley. That's where you'll be able to see this photo. So before I leave, I'm going to come over to your place. I'm going to give you a nice big smooch on the forehead, and we're going to take a photo of it. Just because that's what I
Yeah.
would do.
Well, look, and
I'm with you, Frodo.
but yeah. So anyway,
Oh, Sam,
amazing trilogy, and also
you're a true friend.
I think also again talking about CGI-itis, really, like, you kind of think back and go, oh yeah, it was a bit too CG, but when you go and watch it, you're like, oh no, this is all fucking real awesome locations.
No, I don't.
I
don't remember any CG
legit-
problems with. I only have CG problems with The Hobbit. I don't
he pushed
have
it.
CG
He
problems
pushed
with
it
Lord of the
too
Rings.
far, but it's so amazing. Every frame is a painting. So many creative shots. It's just a brilliant trilogy. I think everyone should go back and rewatch it. Tyler mentioned that they've only got the 2 towers over in America, which is maybe even worse. But
Lexi Graves might be able to confirm that.
But if you can see all 3, and obviously he's got to find what happens at the Calling of the Ring. Well, Sam.
Well, you got to explain.
Calling
what
of the Ring is loving tribute to the Lord of the Rings trilogy about
everybody loves
Sam-
it. It's on
Sam-
YouTube. I'm going to post it in the comments.
Sam
right
and Frodo's journey towards getting rid of the ring, and
and acceptance of their own
yeah,
sexuality,
and part of
which is an important theme in today's
and part of that would be,
culture.
did you just kiss me on the forehead, Mr. Frodo?
Yes, Sam.
That's what.
But only as a
that's what
friend.
good friends do, Sam.
That's what good
Well,
friends
it's just
do,
weird
Sam.
because, like, I've never kissed anyone else on the forehead. Like, I've shooken their hand, I've maybe given them a high five once in a while, but the kiss on the forehead to me, Mr. Frodo, seems to invite perhaps something else into this relationship.
Oh no, Sam. But you did enjoy it.
Oh, I did, Mr. Frodo, but perhaps. If we're just friends hanging out and showing our appreciation as friends,
Well, what else could we do,
I
Sam?
could maybe move my lips closer to your mouth, Mr. Frodo, like they do in the French do, Mr. Frodo, right on the lips. It's linger.
Well, I suppose that might be okay,
Let
Sam.
it linger for a while, Mr. Frodo, just to show how good of friends we are, actually.
It's brilliant. It's a brilliant accent right there, guys. That's some of your best. That's
That's
your
the
best
thing.
work.
It's like we all have one good thing that we can do. Like, we're not real actors that can do, multiple different types. Basically, play variations of ourselves. We can only do 2 things well. Me do that stupid Sam accent, and you do an Australian accent. That's our only talents beyond playing ourselves.
I'm going to post right now. I'm going to post in the comments for the listeners on the live stream, episode 1. Sorry, right in your ears. The Calling of the Ring, which is on episode 1 right now, is up in the chat, and I'll also post it just for a laugh on facebook.com/Guy and Harley. But if you want to find it, go to YouTube, search for Pigville, and search for The Calling of the Ring. There's 4 episodes there. It's some of our best work, to be honest.
Yes, well, thank you very much, and for everyone joining in there on the chat. Bernie mentions that I Survived the Zombie Holocaust was ahead of its time. Distribution was dense back then, but I'm sure it will come back.
It was.
And finally get the respect it deserves. We certainly hope so. Thank you, Bernie. Really appreciate those comments, and when we get it back, we will hopefully not fall into the same pitfalls that we did. Thanks to knowledge in part equipped by people such as yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, look, I guess we better wrap it up, even though we've got nowhere to be for at least 3 days.
I've got to teach. See, this is the problem for me. Is like it's like cool lockdown, and everyone's like, "Sweet guys, tools down. We can't really work. Can't do any work."
Me, I'm like tool up.
We've got to.
I reach down and I get it.
We've got to go home and kind of twiddle our thumbs. Whereas for myself, it's like cool. So I have to kind of again go back to digitizing everything that I was planning to teach, in the class. And unfortunately, this part of what I'm teaching is not the same part of the last lockdown. So all the stuff that I did last lockdown is like, I can't just use all that stuff. I have to make up a whole bunch of new stuff, which is going to be incredibly time consuming.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I came and talked to your class, and I had that dick pic visual joke.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, the visual dick pic joke. I talked to your class, and I accidentally cut when I was changing I made you do it, which was even more brilliant. I made you press next on the what do you call that? The PowerPoint,
the projector screen,
and the projector on the PowerPoint, and there was a guitar pick that said dick on it, and I said, "Oh, sorry, that's one of my dick pics." Now at the time I was so busy wondering if I could that I never stopped to ask if I should. But I did.
Yes, it was met with a lukewarm response.
Well, your missus loved it.
My girlfriend appreciated the joke. The students.
No, they laughed. I got a good laugh out of that. A good laugh. I got, considering the audience was 8 people or 7 people or something. That was a good laugh.
I would refer you to maybe listen back to that on.
We should post it. I probably think we should post it as bonus content for the listeners. We've talked about it. We haven't done it, but we should probably post the audio from that as bonus content for the listeners.
It's got good, it actually has legitimately good tips about social media marketing and stuff like that. Amongst the horrific jokes that bombed, that like absolutely fizzled and bombed.
They didn't bomb. They loved it. They loved it. That's what a small audience sounds like. A small audience sounds like deathly silence, but they're laughing really on the inside.
Yeah, so maybe we should, if everyone wants some social media marketing tools with dad jokes included, that would be the go, is sharing that.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Well, we better fucking wrap it up. So thank you very much for listening. Facebook.com/Guy and Harley. The most important thing you can do to support us at the moment is you can go along and you can try and watch Older on Amazon Prime. That's the best place to find it. We don't know when it's coming out there just yet. If you're in New Zealand, then you want to go along to facebook.com/oldermovie, or you can also find out information at olderfilm.com, and that's our latest release. It's coming out in 11 days. Theoretically, it's coming out in a cinema. I have a bad feeling it's coming out on Vimeo only initially, and then Amazon as well, but we'll see. But if you would like to really support the film properly, and you're in New Zealand, the best way to do that is to buy it from us on Vimeo.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, this is an inside scoop, this is an industry inside scoop, is that if you watch it on Amazon, we get a few cents per hour. I don't know exactly what the cents is per hour, but it's not much sense. There's no sense to it. It's nonsense. And so we get like 10 cents an hour, 6 cents an hour, something like that per view time. So the best way to buy it is if you're in New Zealand or if you've got a VPN, go and get it on Vimeo. Now that's going to be on facebook.com/oldermovie or facebook.com/Guy and Harley, or just search for Older the Movie on Vimeo and use your VPN. And basically, if you hire it from Vimeo for $4, that we get like 3 of those US dollars, something like that. Yep. Whereas if you watch it on Amazon, we get maybe 6 cents or 10 cents or something like that, which is still awesome. And we still encourage you to do that.
Well, in theory, the best thing you can do is, purchase it on Vimeo and stream it on Amazon Prime, because it may well be free to stream on Amazon Prime.
Well, yeah, you could do both.
And then if you wanted to
Amazon
take
Prime.
it one step further, you would add a review on Amazon Prime, because that is actually very helpful to pushing it up the algorithm chain.
Directly up the algorithm.
Right up, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, we better go, because pants are about to be pissed.
Filling up with urine as we speak. Yeah, okay, all right. So facebook.com, Guy and Harley, go and watch the movie Older. Go and check out Us Survived the Zombie Holocaust, which we also talked about. Check out Immy the Vegan, which is our latest web series. It's on YouTube. And then there was one, well, hang on, that's it. Goodbye, everybody. Fuck off. And then one last thing I wanted to record was just this. I just wanted to do this for when I went for a piss before. I'm going to cut this in later. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Oh, these radio mics were an excellent investment. That's it. Thank you very much for listening. Good night.